This is the Mosen Mortgage Program with Sarah Mosen. Mosen Mortgage is licensed in several states for residential and commercial purchases and refinancing. Call 800-662-9550. And now, here's your host, Sarah Mosen.
It's Monday, folks. It's great to be back here again, and please ask the question, and feel free to reach out to me day or night, 1-800-662-9550. Ask for Sarah. We're here to save you as much money as possible, whether it's on your first purchase, investment property, refinancing your mortgage, and getting rid of those horrible credit card bills, Pat.
Oh, my goodness. And Sarah, you and I have both admitted openly on these airwaves from Boston to San Diego that we have made some mistakes in the past with plastic, and probably lots of folks listening to our voices have as well. There's no judgment here, but there is a wonderful opportunity to rectify that situation with the rates being still at 50-year lows.
Right, and that's very low, Pat. I mean, at the end of the day, if you look at it, you can only measure it by the fact that last time we had rates in the 4s or the 3s was during Eisenhower. So we want to kind of look at where we are today, where we were 5 years ago, 7 years ago, where rates were 10, 12, 13%. And we certainly have to take note of that and take action, because I'll tell you what, Pat, last 3 months things have been up and down because of the fact that whether the Federal Reserve is going to do one thing or the other, the rates do change. Therefore, you need to take action when you're seeing that now we're at all-time lows before they start going up again. So definitely make that move, have that conversation with me, and most importantly, look at that mortgage note, because that's where your savings are. That's where you're going to make that $400 or $500 of savings each month. If you're not sure how to calculate that number, we can do that for you. That's what we do. We put together that proposal so that you can review it with your spouse and make that decision as you see fit.
Mm-hmm. And Sarah, as you're saying, you're asking folks move now before the interest rates start to rise a little bit, but also home prices are beginning to rise a bit too, aren't they?
Right. Home prices are definitely moving. You're seeing a lot of increases in the California and Florida markets, a 36% increase in San Francisco and 26% increase in Orlando. There's movement in Massachusetts. However, there's not as much inventory that we're seeing in Massachusetts, and you're certainly seeing that also reflected in the San Diego market. A lot of bidding wars, but not a lot of properties.
Mm-hmm.
So that can be a little bit trying. I do think that buyers are interested, yet looking for rates that are going to drop further, and then sellers are waiting because they feel that their value is going to go up further, and that creates obviously sort of this it's kind of a landlocked situation. It's a no-win situation. So I really encourage folks to make that move. If you're looking to purchase, we have realtors on the ground, great people who will service you. If you're looking to refinance, I'm available for that conversation at any time that you have available, evenings, mornings, weekends. I think it's worth the time that you can put in to at least investigate and find out what you're paying out. Simply said, just reducing your mortgage by 10 years for the life of your loan. If you have a 30-year loan, you can save anywhere from $100,000 to $200,000 in interest just by eliminating those 10 years. So
that's just totally incredible, and that's over the life of the loan. And then for the short term, my golly, there's cash every single month that you will have. Not only will you have the cash because you've reduced the interest rate on the mortgage, but in all probability you have taken equity and paid off other bills, so that gives you additional cash. So it's such a win-win situation right now still. And to be sitting and waiting and watching, in my view, is just not wisdom right now. Wisdom to me is take advantage right now while you have it, because it could increase. We've seen interest rates starting to climb a tad, and we see housing markets starting to climb. This would be the time when everything starts climbing. That's when things become more difficult.
Right, and I think, Pat, everyone's different, but I'm not in the business of being in the waiting game. I think that taking action, whichever way it goes, at least you've made a decision. That's very important in life. Definitely, from what I'm seeing, the last thing I want to see in my lifetime is that someone else has made that decision for me on what kind of rate I'm going to get. And every time Congress meets or the Federal Reserve meets and they have a conversation about whether they're going to enter the bond market further or not, et cetera, that creates fluctuations in the market. And I mean, all of this may sound like gobbledygook, but at the end of it, what it means is that you have that opportunity right now, once again, to get a low interest rate, 50-year low rate, and make that savings. Because the bottom line that we have to realize is focusing on clipping coupons or trying to get that second job or working that third job, that simply doesn't make any sense, and it's certainly taking time away from your loved one. So I do encourage you to at least take 5 minutes or 10 minutes when you have free and call me to discuss options that you may have to get rid of the debt that you have, to reduce that mortgage payment, and to start your year off fresh. Because before you know it, it's going to be Christmas and then New Year's. And again, you're going to be burdened with additional debt that you will have because of the expenses incurred during that holiday season.
Exactly. And so now is the time. And really, it doesn't take a lot of effort on our part right now. As your mortgage statement comes in, clip it on the refrigerator under a magnet. When your credit card bill comes in, put that up there. When you've got your student loan or your car loan, put that up there. And then when you've got them all gathered together, make a phone call to Sarah. Even if it's at 3 in the morning, there's somebody live going to answer that free phone call, 1-800-662-9550, and just say, I'm ready. Can you please ask Sarah to call me on this day at this time, and have your spouse there and give Sarah everything. And then you can go about your busy everyday life, because Sarah will take it from there. She will put together a plan for you. And it's just that simple. She's extremely credible. We're into our 5th year with Sarah, and Salem is just honored to have this partnership with the Mosen Mortgage folks. And you can go on to their Facebook, which is Mosen Mortgage Facebook, and see some amazing testimonies from people just like you and me that have just been so relieved of burdens that they didn't know they could ever get away from, like student loans, like mortgages that are upside down, or folks that have bought their second homes, or it's just a whole nother world when you can get your finances in order.
It is, and it's very straightforward and simple, and it does reduce a lot of anxiety and stress, Pat, from people's lives, which naturally happens if you are trying to meet your bills. Always remember, make sure that the mortgage payment is on time, and if it's current for 12 months, now you have options to reduce other debt and basically get that relief that you need.
And if you're not being transparent with your spouse right now, get transparent. It's always worse, like not being transparent, and what you imagine is going to happen if you become clean with them. Your imagination is always way worse than reality. Yes. And to be free of that burden, and then the two of you work together to rebuild. If you need to rebuild, Sarah can put you on a path to rebuild your credit, to reduce your credit ratio. She can tell you what you need to do, and it would be the best advice you can get to be relieved from that, and to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and to make a plan moving forward for financial comfort, which will affects every other part of your life.
Right, and I think that having that sense of relief, Pat, that's to me really important, just in general, having peace of mind. So if we can be of service and to help you through that difficult path that maybe you are facing, let me know and call me here at 1-800-662-9550.
And Sarah, I know we don't have too much time left here. I mean, Marita's pretty soon going to flap her arms, but we get a little bit of time. I know that just August and September sale prices, you have some information on that, and that was just a week ago, so that's pretty fresh information. Right.
I mean, the home prices are pretty much similar. There may have been a slight slip. If you're looking at median home prices at $4,415,000, for this month, then we're looking at in July it was $417,000. So we're still up by 20% from what we're talking about a year ago. So what we have to look at is where we were last year, and imagine that amount of growth in the past year or so, which is a 20% growth. So.
And that, Sarah, that medium price, that would be for both San Diego and New England?
So we're doing well, I think, in that respect. We are also looking at the fact that I mean, inventory is inventory, Pat. I do watch a lot of these great, I don't know if you watch some of these shows on HGTV on purchases of properties, but you just have to realize that, we're not seeing that much open when it comes to purchases in the Boston and San Diego market. However, there's some zoning changes that are going to occur downtown in Boston that's going to create more inventory as well. So that's exciting news.
Okay, and you know what? That is going to wrap up today, Monday, October 7th. Sarah's free phone call 24/7 answered live, 1-800-662-9550.
Stay well, folks.
This has been the Mosen Mortgage Program with Sarah Mosen. Mosen Mortgage is licensed in several states for residential and commercial purchases and refinancing. Call 800-662-9550.